Hello, my man Steve. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm just so excited to be able to be here with you and your listeners, and just happy and appreciative of the opportunity.
Beautiful, my man, and thank you so very much for being here. And you say, Steve, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so much to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, Steve, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, Steve, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. Say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Steve, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Steve, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Steve. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited, I tell you. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Steve that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your knowledge, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, my man. These stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from this beautiful thing Steve is doing. And not only me now, but even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Steve. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, my man, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
You, what a beautiful story, and what a
Thank you.
beautiful lesson. Also, thank you so much. May we all receive the mango juice of that story and
Yeah,
share
yeah,
with.
yeah. Amen to that. Beautiful. So let's get started, Steve. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Steve, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Steve on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Steve, majority of the folks out there, we've got thousands and thousands of knowledge information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Dave, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Steve got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Steve, my man, over to you.
Thank you so much, Elisha, Ambassador Elisha. It's such a beautiful offering of support. And I think the thing that stands out to me is that we are so aligned around being of service and being a channel of grace in the world. And so, how did I get here? It's really clear to me that it is only by grace that this came, that this opportunity, that the knowledge and its usefulness if it is of any use, it is then really the support for people to find the true foundation of their being. And I'm really grateful that we are partners in that and that you offer so many resources of knowledge in that direction. And so I would just like to thank you for that. And I would also like to thank my family, my parents, who handed me the opportunity to know the deepest qualities of knowledge and the most simple. I remember as a young person, my mom pointing out the window and saying, "Steve, do you see that bird out there in that nest and all those little baby birds?" She said, "That's nature. That's how we work. And we are here to help one another, just like that mama bird is helping the baby
Hmm.
birds." And it really instilled from the very earliest times the nature of our generosity and caring. And then I turned it from thinking about it being as primarily a process of prayer and contemplation into the active work of really helping heal and balance our human biology. And so the knowledge that I'm offering is to offer then the support for people to understand and to apply that understanding into the way that their human biology, this gift of us, the temple of this body, can then be a place of inspiration for prayer and contemplation, for meditation, for deepening into the relationship that changes everything. And the reason I say that, you mentioned here how people are really struggling, people are suffering, people's issues and challenges are real in this day and always. But there, we take the perspective at Organic Intelligence of looking at how our biology, the machine of our physiology, can work better, and so we can feel better. And when we can feel better, we have more room. If you've been at home, the kids are screaming, and you're going, "I can't take anymore. Y'all are getting on my last nerve about now." There's not a lot of room to let something else in. We are just taken up by that. So if we can bring a quality of balance, and this is what we figured out, quality of balance into the biology that helps us feel better, then we have more room to do and be the people that we know.
That's so true. And that's a powerful work you're doing, I tell you. And this solution is so important to the world. Thank you for the wonderful stuff you're doing. So let us talk about therapy, Steve. What is wrong with therapy today?
This is going to be the biggest surprise of all, which is that we have figured out that the trajectory or the way of doing therapy has, from the time of like Sigmund Freud, been thought to be, okay, we've got to uncover all that has happened in the past. There is something lurking in one's subconscious or unconscious that is needing the light of day. And if you can shine the light on that secret, unknown problem of the past, the history, the event, then there's something about that that will be curative. And that is a nice idea, an idea that I ascribed to for many, many years and even taught. But I've found something different, which is that something much more physical, much more physiological, or even biological. And that is that ultimately we are going to grow our human capacity through kindness to ourselves, to love for ourselves, and to the physical feeling of enjoyment and goodness. And I think this is part of why I resonated so hard with what you were saying, because I was listening to one of your podcasts and talking about being in the image of God, that we are each of us created in the image of God. And when we can feel okay, when our own biology is working more harmoniously, we have a chance, I think, to recognize something like that.
For words, and I got that. That's a profound one. And you see, you explained that in such a way that it's quite easy to understand. Okay, so what about this one? How can people create lasting change?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question. It's so insightful. How can people create lasting change? Um, in the end, you know how it is. It's surrender. You just gotta let go and let the life flow through you. But before that, there have got to be many steps. And so the most significant balancing thing that we can do for our biology is not what we've been told often by psychology. Psychology says, oh, you've got to look inside. You've got to experience your feelings. You've got to know your sensations, and you've got to be able to watch your thoughts and be careful about your thoughts. But we say something else quite different. And it's based in the modern neuroscience of brain understanding, which says that the brain is not just about bringing us balance, but it is actually doing something else. And that
Mm,
something else is predicting. Our brain is not just the, hey, look out for trouble brain. It is the, hey, let's get you ready for what's coming brain. Hey, let's anticipate a little bit of what's coming and get your physiology, get your body, get you ready so you feel ready to face what's oncoming. And so what we can do to help that brain do its big job is actually get the attention into the environment. Instead of looking and navel gazing and being so introspective around, oh, what did I do wrong? How can I be better? What is my feeling? Instead of all of that, we do a very simple shift of the attention, like out to the mango tree, like out to the world, so that the brain then has a bridge between inside and outside. And when that brain is getting the feedback from the world around, it can get you ready for what's coming in the world around. And that's what we do. We spend time
uh,
getting the attention out into the environment. I just let my eyes go where.
I love that. That's a beautiful one. So there's this part I'm curious about, okay? It says, how does organic intelligence connect with biology and spirituality?
Yeah. Well, partly we've been talking about it already, that how can we realize we are in the image of God when I feel so broken, when I feel so anxious, when I feel so downtrodden, depressed, right? How can I do that? And part of the answer, of course, we described, and that's surrender. But before that, it's hard even for people to take meaningful action because they're so caught in the struggle and the feeling, and the struggle is real. And so we offer ways like orientation, connecting to the environment through the senses, to begin to bring a balance into the way we feel, because it helps stabilize our own physiology, our own bodily experience. So that's a big one. It's hard to be of service when you feel like you're nothing. And it's
Yeah, very
yeah.
hard. hmm And that's why I mentioned earlier that what you're doing is really powerful. And I love the fact that you're so dedicated to it. But there is this part I'm also curious about, listening to you speak, how experienced you are and how passionate you are doing what you're doing. How has the journey been so far? I believe challenges are so inevitable. So how have you been able to overcome those tough moments? And can you talk to us about that?
Yes, the challenges of life, yeah, they're everywhere. And I think the greatest gift has been those of my teachers also, who have helped me be able to be present. That is to actually have the room to say, be with my parents as they were passing. To be able to be with each of them and provide the comfort that took them to kingdom come. And so it was that, to be able to understand something about the way their own biology was working. And this is a very personal story, but my father was very ill, and in fact, on his deathbed, and they were giving him the usual pain medications and so on, and he became agitated at one point, and he was saying, "I've got to get out of here! I've got to get out of here!" And I put a hand on his shoulder and I said, "It's the medications, Daddy. You're confused because of the medications." I said, "There's no place to go. We're right here." And he settled back and he said, well, if that's the case, then the next is kingdom come. And I said, yes, the next is kingdom come. Yeah. And knowing, I can't tell you, just knowing how to be of support to one's own father and mother, but to one's own family, and provide the deep support that allows them to let go into the deepest holding that's possible. That's what I'm grateful about, is all those who helped me along the way, all of my teachers who have helped me be able to be there for my family, for my children, all of
Mm. Well, that's a great word, and that's a very touching story. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we have two more to go, Steve. All right. So, what is post-trauma growth?
Yes,
Got it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I remember in the Bible, Jesus would be talking about the kingdom of God, and people, I don't know if it's it's hard to understand what that means exactly, but what we're talking about when we're talking about post trauma growth isn't just like the growth that happens after trauma. We're saying that the entire framework, we need to live in a post-trauma world, because therapy and trauma therapy and being trauma informed, that is all said. We need to excavate the trauma, like Freud. Okay, we got to get it out there. We got to realize it. We got to stop repressing all this stuff that is underneath. But we don't think that is the way. Post-trauma growth for us means living in a world post-trauma. That is where the goodness that is inherent within us begins to be felt as an experience and begins to compound and grow, so that then we can feel our own goodness and live in a post-trauma world and then grow. And that growth, of course, goes in the area that you would think, which is compassion for others, service to others. And when we have the energy and the capacity to be of service, then we are growing. And the post-trauma world is what we're calling healers, therapists, and coaches too, to understand that there is a better way, that is a positive reinforcement system that doesn't drive people into their trauma, but rather invites them into the experience of original blessing.
Wow. I never knew that. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Steve. That's a beautiful one. So, finally, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Awesome. Our website is organicintelligence.org. And what I would leave people with is this hope that healing doesn't have to come through painful uncovering, or it doesn't have to come through the path of the road of thorns, right? Or it doesn't have to go through suffering. That our growth can actually come through the origins in orientation. That is, we just begin with this basic idea of getting the attention into the external environment, into the here and now, and connecting to the environment through the senses. A simple contact with creation begins to change our mind, and we're not so absorbed, we're not so caught in the internal webs of what's wrong. And that's what I'd bring, is orientation. It's connecting to the environment through the senses, and the effect that has of beginning to bring the first steps of balance to our system.
The first step of balance to our system. I got that. So that's going to be the end of the show, Steve. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, my man. Thank you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.